Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, honorable judges and fellow presenter. I am Tuan Muhammad FARIS HAMZI, Tuan IBRAHIM from the Islamic Civilization Academy, Faculty of Social Science and Humanities, University Technology, Malaysia. Today I will present my study title, Strengthening Chain of Custody through Digital Evidence First Responders among Religious Enforcement Officers in Syariah Cybercrime Investigation. And my research seeks to bridge digital forensic and Sharia enforcement practice, specifically how digital evidence first responder can play a decisive role in ensuring the integrity of evidence through a strengthened chain of custody in Sharia cybercrime cases. So let's begin with the abstract. Sharia cyber offences like online gambling demands forensic readiness among religious enforcement officers. As first responders, they often handle digital devices, yet lack digital forensic training, risking breaks in the chain of custody and loss of evidence integrity. This study analyzes their role as digital evidence first responder in ensuring evidence authenticity and continuity, guided by the Sharia Code Evidence, Sharia Code Procedure, and International Organization for Standardization. Findings show that digital evidence first responder determine the chain of custody validity from the start of evidence handling. A standardized digital evidence first responder framework is proposed to institutionalize forensic competence and uphold Maqasid Sharia values of truth, trust, and justice. Next, introduction. Digital transformation has reshaped Sharia criminality in Malaysia. Offences like online gambling now occur through encrypted platforms and digital payment system, challenging this classical evidence model of Iqrar, Syahadah, and Qarinah. In most cases, religious enforcement officer or pegawai penguatkuasa agama in Malay are the first to seize digital devices. However, many lack the forensic training needed to handle and preserve digital evidence correctly. Even simple error like switching off devices or copying files can break the chain of custody. Therefore, this study argues that empowering these officers as digital evidence first responder is very important, very crucial to ensure evidence reliability and procedural justice in Sharia cybercrime investigation. According to ISO, a digital evidence first responder is the first individual to identify and handle digital evidence while ensuring its authenticity, integrity, and continuity until it's handed to a forensic analyze. The role demands a precision and minimal handling to avoid data alteration, reinforcing the need of continuous training and forensic readiness among Sharia enforcement officers. Meanwhile, the chain of custody, or COC, ensures that every transfer of evidence from collection to court is properly documented, and any undocumented handling may render evidence inadmissible, as seen in Public Prosecutor and Muhammad Azri cases. Therefore, digital evidence first responder are crucial in initiating the COC process, securing, documenting, and preserving digital evidence to maintain authenticity, integrity, and reliability throughout the forensic process. Under the Sharia criminal procedure and related state enactments, religious enforcement officers are authorized to investigate and seize materials connected to Sharia offences. However, their operational manuals, such as the standard instruction of the State Islamic Religious Department, were drafted before the digital era and laid clear provision for digital forensic. And this absence of specific guidelines often result in improper evidence handling by a first responder, leading to loss of digital evidence or court rejection due to an unverifiable chain of custody. Therefore, this study highlights the urgent needs to strengthen forensic preparedness among religious enforcement officers. The study used a qualitative doctrinal approach to assess digital evidence first responder competence among religious enforcement officers In Syariah cybercrime cases, data were gathered through document analysis of the Syariah court evidence, Syariah criminal procedure and study instruction, and ISO. Analysis employ a qualitative content analysis, combining inductive, deductive, and descriptive approach to evaluate enforcement readiness and ensure alignment with Maqasid Syariah values of truth, trust, and justice. Next, I will present the main findings. The chain of custody begins the moment a digital device is seized during a Syariah investigation. At this point, religious enforcement officer or pegawai penguasa agama become the first handler of digital evidence. In forensic terms, they act as digital evidence first responder, and their initial action identify, isolate, labeling, and documenting determine whether the evidence remains authentic and admissible in court. However, many officers lack technical and forensic training, which increase the risk of chain of custody breaches. Therefore, empowering PPA as competent digital evidence first responder is the first step to ensuring evidentiary integrity in Syariah cybercrime cases. Regulatory and procedural gaps. The standing instruction of 2007 remains focused on physical evidence and give no guidance for digital artifacts. It lacks essential digital evidence first responder procedures like forensic imaging, hash verification, and metadata recording. As frontline officers, PPAs often lack digital forensic skill. Many are unaware of how to isolate devices or prevent data alteration. This leads to unintentional errors such as browsing or powering of devices, which compromise evidence integrity. Although the Practice Direction on Forensic Evidence 2020 acknowledged digital evidence, it still offers no technical guidance for digital evidence first responder responsibilities. Together, these documents leave Syariah enforcement procedurally weak and inconsistent. Without a digital evidence first responder based framework, we cannot achieve forensic readiness or reliable digital evidence handling within Syariah enforcement. Next, integrating DEFR practice. Integrating digital evidence first responder procedure is key to strengthening Syariah enforcement. Digital evidence first responder is the first individual to secure and preserve digital evidence before formal forensic analysis. Through digital evidence first responder training, officers will learn to identify and isolate devices, record details and serial numbers, photograph evidence, and avoid browsing or deleting any data on site. After seizure, devices should be sealed in anti-static or Faraday bags, locked with hash value, and every transfer documented to maintain an unbroken chain of custody. This structured approach aligns with international organization standardized and the Syariah Court Evidence Act, which transfer PPAs into competent digital evidence first responder capable of protecting digital evidence from the field to the courtroom. Implementation of the DEFR practice resonates deeply with Syariah ethical principle. The Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah verse 282 commands believers to record matter faithfully, forming the moral foundation for tawseed or proper documentation. When enforcement officers perform DEFR duties, they uphold amanah by protecting the true, haq, and preventing injustice through careless evidence handling. This aligns with Maqasid Syariah. Therefore, forensic readiness is not only a technical standard but also a moral and religious duty, reflecting adil, justice, and professional accountability. Integrating the DEFR practice bridges scientific reliability with Syariah legitimacy in Syariah criminal investigation. Finally, I will conclude with the key takeaway of this study. Conclusion. This study confirms that religious enforcement officers are the first and most critical link in the digital evidence chain. Yet, the Standing Instruction 2007 and Practice Direction 2020 remain insufficient to guide them in handling digital evidence effectively. By recognizing and training PPAs PPA or Religious Enforcement Officer as digital evidence first responder, we can establish a proper forensic readiness system within Sharia enforcement. And this study recommends first a national DEFR training curriculum under JKSM and Cybersecurity Malaysia, and two, a standardized chain of custody protocol with clear inter-agency procedure. Implementing this measure ensure Sharia enforcement achieve both technical and credibility and maqasid-based justice. Ultimately, preserving digital evidence with integrity fulfill the principle of haq, true, amanah, trust, and adil, justice, and the timeless ethical pillars of Sharia in the digital age. And that's all from me. Assalamualaikum and thank you.